Welcome, Treasure. Well, I'm just gonna jump off and let you do the amazing thing that you are gonna do. Thank you, Treasure. See you soon.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Hi, guys. I hope that I'm in here. I can't see the comments if you guys are commenting, but my name is Treasure Owens. My background is in military intelligence. I was in the Army, between the Army and the Army National Guard for about 6 years. My profession now is marketing and business development, which I've been doing since high school. I've had some high school internships with Ladies of Virtue, True Star Magazine. This is just a little bit of my background here. If you want to see my full resume and everything that I've done in my life for the most part, really condensed, I do have my QR code up there. I also have some of my past clients at the bottom of the screen. I've worked with the National Veterans Art Museum. I've worked with small veteran-owned businesses like Struggle Beer Bakery. I've worked with the SBDC on different projects. I've worked with Sherman's Logistics, which is another small veteran-owned company. I've really been working with small veteran-owned companies for maybe the last 4 years. So yeah, my transition from active duty to the National Guard led me down this journey. Um, and we will talk more about that later. So, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, everything that we're going to talk about today starts with you. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability to win these contracts. You have to believe in your company's value. Whatever you say, people are going to believe as well. So if you say, my company is the best at this, as long as you can prove it, people will believe that. Um, and I also believe that, I'm a very strong believer in manifesting and prayer and thinking about things, like just thinking about winning before you even get there. So even if you're not winning at this time, or like if you haven't gotten your first contract and you're just waiting on those things, I think that this information will benefit you whether you're waiting or you have your contracts. But yeah. So, the game plan for today, we are going to demystify how veteran-owned businesses can effectively market to businesses, government, and consumers simultaneously. We'll explore the unique sales journeys for each audience and dive into actionable tactics to build your company's credibility, maximize awareness across diverse marketing channels, harness the power of personal branding, and achieve maximum customer lifetime value, which is just a fancy way of saying brand loyalty, essentially. At the end of this, I will give Ryan and the rest of the team a basic level business development tracker to help you implement these strategies long after the summit. Now, this is a different version than what I actually planned on presenting today, so I may have to open Okay, let's share this screen again. Looks like I lost connection. But essentially what I was saying was that I'm going to 9 times out of 10 have to open up the business development tracker in another slide just so you guys can get a chance to look at that. So what is the point of running a business? This is actually the first question that my marketing professor asked me as I was studying to get my MBA. And the options were to create value for customers and in doing so generate a profit, to live out your dreams and fulfill your purpose, or to give back to the community. To be honest, for me, business ownership is really about like giving back to the community. Most of my projects are based on how much impact I can make in the community. And I do plan on having a not-for-profit down the line. Please let me know if I'm okay. So the answer to that question is the core purpose of running a business is to create value for customers and in doing so, generate a profit. We gotta have our value. So what is your value? What makes you stand out in a sea of entrepreneurs and business owners? What makes you and your company stand out? Those are two things that you need to be thinking about at all times, because when it comes to like your capability statement, you can use your professional experience. It'll be listed under past relevant experience, and then past performance is, you know, what your company actually did and got paid for. Those are two different sections that you can have within your capability statement. And then also outside of that, you just need to know your value as a whole, because how can you market yourself if you don't know who you are, what you bring to the table, or anything along those lines? So in my 11 years of experience in the marketing industry, I have found various different strategies in order to get to the roots of what your value is as a company and what your value is as a person. For myself, I kind of break things down as this is Treazure. This is Treasure's skills. This is Treasure's identity. This is Treazure Owens' matter of fact, Treazure Owens, because my company's name is my first name as well. This is Treazure Owens. This is what she brings to the table. This is, you know, her skill set. This is what she likes to do. This is what she's interested in. These are her values. And all of those things translate into what my business's values are, what we engage in as services and products and things like that. And especially when you think of like doing government contracting and having capability statements, you're going to need to have some type of background within the realm of, you know, the projects that you wish to take on. I mean, you can leverage other people's experience as well, bringing them into the contract, but you still need to have some kind of baseline competence there. So here is a map out of what you can do when you are sitting down and trying to identify what your value is. I hope that you guys can hear me. I can hear some background noise within my space. I'm so sorry for that. Outside of this, some other options. It's not published yet, but I know a guy named David Ramajan. He's a veteran business owner as well, owns a couple different companies, and he uses this thing called the Sharpshooter's Blueprint, which I absolutely love. And if you don't want to use this, or if you don't want to use that, another thing that I love to do is MDMP. Just look at it as business development. Business decision making process. Look at it in terms of that. Just figure out what your, you know, what your commander's intent is, what resources you have in your arsenal, things along those lines, because we're basically playing a game. We're going to battle, we're going to war, whatever you want to look at it as, that'll help you get through this process. So myself, these are my identifiers. I'm a woman, I'm a veteran, I'm a student, I'm Black, I'm an intelligence analyst, I'm from Chicago. That's a big thing. Outside of that, my affiliations, my network, and other available resources, my education, my awards, all of those things play a part in what my value is that I bring to the table. And also what my company brings to the table as well, and what sets us apart as differentiators. These are our services, and this is some of the programming that we do, and also business certifications make us stand apart. Since I'm service disabled, I guess you could consider that another identifier, I get SDVOSB certification. I also get WBE and MBE as well, because I'm a minority and I'm a woman. Now, once you figure out who you are, what your value is, you need to figure out, how do other people receive your value? Like, how do they interpret what your value is, or how do they find you in that sea of other entrepreneurs and business owners that are out there, right? So one thing, I'll use this as an analogy, even though I don't have it pictured here. So when you think about like the VA, right, and you want to get your disability ratings, you need to speak to them in the way that they understand those ratings, the way that they categorize things. You can't say like, oh, I just have, oh, well, you can't say if you want to, oh, I just have like headaches, I have a head pounding or something like that. Something that's just, that they're not going to understand. I have my head pounds every day. It's migraines. You need to look at the list of the different categories of disabilities that they have, so that you can know exactly how to explain to them what you have going on. And it's the same way when it comes to your business. You need to be able to clearly explain what you do in the way that they are going to be looking for what you do. So NAICS codes are just one way to do that. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but it's pretty much a standard used across different organizations and companies that you could do business with. Mine, for example, is marketing consulting services, and this is the number for it. And this is just a breakdown of like, you know, what those things fall into. What the different numbers mean, and was find projects related to what we do, and they help the client find vendors, suppliers, companies that offer services and products that they need, they being the customer. And if you don't know where to find this information, you can find it at census.gov, or just look up NAICS code description or put it into ChatGPT or Gemini to be able to get that information for yourself. Other expressions of value and identifiers. So remember I said in the beginning, like, this is, you know, how I describe myself. I'm a woman, I'm Black, I'm from Chicago, I'm these different things. So when it comes to keywords, they can be literal, they can be figurative, or they can be jargon-based words, because we have different, you know, language that we use within the military community. That's one thing that I noticed going from being an intelligence analyst to being in the business community. I was going off of MD&P, and I had to figure out a way to use everything that I learned in the military and translate it over to business terms, or even if you're going across different fields other than business, you know, some of the terminology that people use can be the same thing. It can mean the same thing, but it's just the way that they explain it is different. But so those are based on your products and services. So that could be the difference between video production versus videography. So when you're looking for opportunities, you need to look for each and every way of describing what you do. Sometimes when it comes to getting myself into different grants, trying to see, you know, if this particular customer has the funding for marketing capabilities, it might not come up as marketing. It could come up as community outreach. And so I have to know the way that they explain what I do to where they're getting their funding from, or who they're also doing business with, their other stakeholders. Some other things could be your DUNS number, your cage code, your UEI number, really just any number, any identifier that represents your company. You need to know those things and be aware of them at all times, so that you can be able to express your value in the places that you need to, or where you'll find your customers. And clients, what is going on with this one? Okay. I can't see this page. So we are going to try to go back. I think what was here was pretty much the peso model. So if you want to Google that later, unfortunately, it's not, the image is not showing, but I did show the different channels, because when you think of marketing, you need to think of your integrated marketing and communications plan. Always be thinking of where this information is going to go. So whether that be filling out your capability statement, whether that be thinking about getting on social media, using email marketing, using different documents like brochures and other documentation to portray your value to potential customers and clients. That was pretty much a map for that. Pretty sure. So how do we bridge value with profit generation, right? That's important, because it doesn't matter, like you have your value and you have these channels and you want to express it in those channels. But even once it goes to those channels, okay, great. What was the purpose of starting a business? To generate a profit. We need to still generate a profit at the end of the day. Or whether that be, if you have a nonprofit, you might want to get more program participants. That's perfectly fine. It's still pretty much the same, different stages. There are other sales funnels that are out there and customer journey maps that'll show other categories or different stages that you can bring your potential customers and clients through. This is the one that I particularly use, just awareness, interest, consideration, decision, purchase/repurchase, which is where that brand loyalty and things like that come into play. So this is what it looks like for my own company, just to give you like an example of how to use this in real time. So at the awareness stage, let's say I put out an Instagram post or a media feature, or through any marketing channel, that how I know that they're in the interest stage, a potential customer or client. They might, visit my website. They may open my email. They may book a consultation. It's your decision to see how you want them to do business with you. And that's how you figure out what your sales funnel is going to look like. But in some cases, I will say you might have to follow the rules of how that company likes to do business. And I'll explain that a little bit later. Consideration, that could just be them, comparing my company to the next company. Decision, where negotiations begin. We may send a quote or invoice, and then purchase/repurchase. We've done the contract. We've completed that. We have the contract signed, and maybe they want to do business with us again after the first time. So some other things about understanding the sales funnel is to know who your target audience is, or your ideal customer. I like to break it down into clients versus customers. Clients to me is like a conglomerate. Where can I get the most bang for my buck? Where can I reach out one time and it gets me to a bunch of other potential clients? So that could even be, using the software as a service, so that I could get to multiple, potential clients. That could be me making a partnership with a chamber of commerce, so that I could get to all of those different small businesses that they have within that chamber of commerce. That could be pretty much along those lines. And then customer wise would just be like maybe a one-off client, or, the relationship is direct. And that's why I have this pointed arrow, because it's you and that person. It's a direct line of communication. And then business to business to consumer could be you doing business and then it gets to them. And then business to consumer is also another direct line. Another important thing to know is your target audience, and figuring out what that segmentation looks like, whether that be geographic, psychographic, demographic, or behavioral. I particularly look at behavioral because I focus on what that consumer's behaviors and patterns are. And I'll try to explain that in a second. So like right here, understanding how your target audience does business. Remember when I said something like a few slides back, I showed you guys, this is pretty much like what my sales funnel looks like. In some cases, it does not look like that because that particular entity does business a certain kind of way. So I have to do business with them in the way that they like to do business. Typically, when you're doing business with like a large corporation or like a government entity, they'll always have like a map out of how they conduct business. So it'll be like doing business with this particular organization because they have laws that they have to adhere to, and we have laws that we have to adhere to as well as small business owners. However, I would say theirs is a little bit more strict in my opinion. And so when it comes to the different stages and awareness, that could look like me just introducing them to my company, interest them. So I can introduce them to my company through these different channels. Unfortunately, the peso model did not show, but nonetheless, that could look like the supplier slash vendor profile. That could look like general email marketing campaigns. And then my secondary is always phone call, website, marketing materials. Interests, that could be targeted email marketing campaigns just to continue to make them want to do business with us. Consideration, the marketing team. For me, the marketing team informs me of who will be responding to that particular RFQ, RFP, RFI, because when you sign up for these supplier and vendor profiles, they will send you emails and let you know whenever, something, if you know your keywords, then you will get the emails for when they send out an RFP, RFQ, RFI that falls in line with what your business does, what your services and products are that they're looking for. They may not be, looking particularly for you. They could be looking just, they're weighing their decision at that point. And then you respond to it. You want to reach out to their finance, contracting, or procurement offices. Again, these are just like different ways of saying the same thing. I think I mentioned that in the beginning. When you're doing business, you just have to be able to understand that a lot of things it's the same thing. It's just, said in a different way for the understanding of that particular customer or that particular client. You can send a welcome email. Hey, we just, signed up for that supplier vendor profile, or even once they send out the RFP, you can say, hey, we plan on responding to this. I have templates already in my email so that I don't have to think too hard. I just change out the names and say, we're responding to this, and this is who I'm reaching out to. And then I just send it out that way. Or you could even do mail merge if you put everything within an Excel sheet, which is part of that business development plan tracker that I'll be giving to you guys, so that you can just do it all in one sweep. And I'll put instructions on there because I do have instructions, but I don't think that I broke it down as thoroughly as I probably could have. And then, you do the project and move forward with that customer. I want to make sure that I'm not coming up on time, so let me just try to move this out the way so I can see the chat. Okay. I don't see anything, so I am going to keep going. So maximizing awareness across the different channels. Of course, you want to use LinkedIn. You want to register for those government portals for business to government or business to business. Some of them use these different kind of portals like Supplier Gateway. It's just different softwares as a service. In the business development tracker, you'll see kind of like a breakdown of this is the type of platform that this particular entity uses. And then you could go from there. Some of these platforms, you will have to make a new profile for. So like when I talked about clients versus customers, right? Particularly, let's say we were doing the Major League Baseball. There's a bunch of different teams. They all use Supplier Gateway. Unfortunately, I had to make a new account to do business with each and every one of the teams. However, if you already have your information together, your keywords, all of those different things, you could even go off of your business plan, put that information into your business plan, or just put it into a document within your drive. You have that information there to just plug and play. Or you could even set up, your AI assistant to be able to fill that in on its own. If you have a data entry AI system to do so. So yeah, some of these make you do multiple accounts. Some of them you do it one time and you can reach every single entity that is on that particular platform. So that's one thing that I think is important to know. So now we're going to talk about our personal brand and leveraging that. One thing that I want you to understand is that organizations exist to enable ordinary people to do extraordinary things, right? So when it comes to these organizations, sure, let's say it's even Major League Baseball. Just because I want to do business with them doesn't mean that, I can't use them for other things. Or let's say I do business with them. Now I want to continue to use them because they're still in my arsenal. They're still, a part of my value. So how can I get more value out of them is really what it is. So here's an engagement activity that I typically do when I cover this. What I like to call this strategy is the success story blueprint. So I am going to use Peyton Sickles in this example. Sometimes I use myself, sometimes I use other people. So essentially you write down one marketing goal that you have, and then you list 3 affiliations, groups, or organizations that you are part of. If you did go to my QR code to see my resume, you'll see a breakdown of how I show my stuff. I have affiliations, I have volunteer things, like I show everything that I'm connected to for the most part. And I need that information for myself as well, so that I could go back to them and I could say, hey, can you write an article? Or hey, do you have a grant out there? Hey, what else do you have going on? Do you have any awards that I could be applying to? Whatever that looks like at that time. So that's essentially what you'll be doing within the success story blueprint. But essentially you're mapping out your network. You could even look at your own LinkedIn just to see, like, what organizations do you have relationships with, or what organizations do you need to recultivate those relationships with? Maybe you broke contact with them. Go back to them. So it's a 4-step process. You identify your goal, prioritize the strongest channels, which has the biggest network, because you want to get in front of as many people as possible, or get your company or your own story in front of as many people as possible. Position yourself as a success story. How do you make them want to feature you? That's how you do that. And then you repeat with every single affiliation that you have. So identify your end goal. What do you want to do? Do you want to get more speaking engagements? Do you want to increase your search engine optimization? Do you want to showcase your products and services in a more passive way? And then you figure out, like, who is your target audience, which is that's another question that you need to ask yourself. And does that past affiliation, can they reach your target audience more effectively than you probably could right now? Prioritizing the strongest channels. I talked a little about that. Looking at what is the size of their network. Is it national? Do they do a lot of media? Because some organizations, they don't have a PR team. They don't have a marketing team. They don't have the full scope of capabilities that you need in this moment. IVMF, they most definitely do. So if you have gone to any of their past programs, or since Bunker Labs did get acquired by them, if you went to Bunker Labs, then you'll be reaching out to IVMF as a success story, because you're a success story of their past programming. Take note of their target audience in relation to your target audience. I mentioned that already. And research the type of content that they do. Do they even post their success stories? Do they have business spotlights? And IVMF does a lot of business spotlights. I really love them. And then look at their key dates, like Small Business Saturday, Black History Month, Veterans Day. Veterans Day is actually coming up, so that's important to know. Position yourself as a success story. So pretty much make it easier for these organizations to feature you. I wish that the peso chart showed, but it did not. Nonetheless, you need to be developing a media kit, and really just any documents that you're going to need to be able to display your value. If you look up the peso value, the peso model, if you look it up, you'll see all these different categories of things that you need to do to continue to market your business as a full integrated marketing communications plan. Because I think a lot of people stop at social media, and that's just not how to market effectively. Establish a point of contact. Who are you talking to? Who do you know? Who have you had past conversations with? And essentially, you're looking at the type of content that they've shared in the past. You have your marketing goal, and then your media kit touch points, the things that you could have in mind to let them know who you are and what you need from them, or how it's mutual value. You can share who you are, what you do, why you matter, a call to action, and where to find you. So position yourself as a success story. Establish that point of contact with, and then how to connect with the right people. You could call the organization, you could email them, you could do a Boolean search on LinkedIn, or you could check your past email correspondence signatures. So this is an example of an email from IVMF that I got in the past. It was from Lexi Jones. She's a program coordinator for Breaking Barriers. So when it came to getting some media coverage from IVMF, I reached out to her, because that's who my point of contact is. That's who I know. That's who I have a relationship with. Nothing beats a warm introduction. Repeat with every affiliation. So any other affiliations that you have, go largest to smallest, because it's not necessarily like a waste of time, but you want to, if you're short on time, you want to maximize your time. So really have that marketing goal in mind, and take heed of where you have your strongest relationships at. So the final product, measuring your success. Did you get the wins that you expected? And if you look back at that value map that I showed you guys in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, it said success in the bottom right corner. So all of these things you have to keep in mind, your value and things like that, but you want to be getting results. Just like how I said, you could have your value in mind, you could have these different marketing channels that you're going to go on, but are you actually getting the results that you're looking for? Those are your biggest measurements, your KPIs. Keep those things in mind, because it's no point of doing this stuff if you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So what marketing wins can you expect? You could get increased search engine optimization. You might get increased speaking engagements, featured in high impact publications, and things along those lines. So this was the example of Payton doing that, and I've done the same. So some additional resources in regards to using your personal brand and continuing to leverage these organizations is to find key contacts with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can use the Babson Building Your Developmental Network exercise article. You can use Haro, which is help report it out if you want to get some more media coverage and PR opportunities. Canva and Adobe to create your media kits and your pitch decks. Google Alerts to track mentions of your business in press and social media. Hunter.io, Rocket Reach, or LinkedIn to find contact emails for decision makers. Because again, you always need a good point of contact. Who are you building your relationships with? One thing that I heard recently when I went to the Veteran Institute for Procurement, somebody said that the difference between contacts and contracts is that are in relationships. So you should always be continuing to build relationships throughout your entrepreneurial journey. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the last point here, which is achieving maximum customer lifetime value. You want to implement loyalty programs, upsell and cross-sell strategically, provide excellent customer service, use CRM tools to track your engagement, use AI to automate those processes. I don't know if I'll have enough time to really break down the business development tracker and how to implement AI into that, but I will have those explanations within the first page of the tracker, because I kind of break down like what each slide is for. Okay, this is not the one, because I got to get home and get to my correct email. However, let me see if I can show this slide just to give an example. Stop screen. One moment. Image screen, share screen. Share screen. So I'll show you a draft one, and then I'll put the actual version, because this is just the one that I had up right now, unfortunately. So breaking down the RFQs, RFIs, things like that. Have, again, point of contact, very important to know. And then breaking those things down. So it'll almost look like this. You'll have a countdown for when that opportunity is due. And then I'll have a breakdown of how to, because you'll have to set it up, unfortunately, on your own, where when you get that email, it will populate in here. Like you have to set up AI to do it, but it'll populate in here on its own with the information that you need. And then, you can set it up to run, the new contacts that are in there to send those welcome emails and things like that. You could track philanthropy. You could track, I don't have my supplier diversity profiles in here. I'm not in the right email, but I try to keep copies, even if it's not the full version, in other emails. Nonetheless, it'll have a breakdown of boards, fellowships, and certifications that you could join. These are some of the ones in green that I've already done. I have it coded where if I say that I'm in that program currently, it'll pop up. You could track your scholarships and grants, awards. You could break it down to hobbies if you want to, events that you go to. I put job search, but you don't have to do that. Your PR contacts, all of those different things need to be in that business development tracker. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing all your information in one place, that's perfectly fine. But this will just give you a baseline to get started with being able to do all of this stuff as automated as possible. So that's what I plan to leave you guys with. What is going on? Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you guys so much for bearing with me. Again, I apologize. I have been recovering from COVID and things have just been a little bit haywire, but I hope that you learned something today that you may have not known in the past. And I certainly wish you luck with getting more contracts and building those relationships and cultivating new relationships, sustaining them, and growing your business to where you want it to be.
Treasure, thank you so much. It was an amazing talk. So many good nuggets. And I tell you guys, like all this foundational work she's talking about, you need to do for your business before you even like engage with a marketing business or marketing company. And if you don't do it, that's all we're gonna do is just get you back to foundations and make sure you're set up correctly to grow your business in the right direction. So thank you so much, Treasure, for all your amazingness today and all your feedback and little nuggets.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Well, you enjoy your rest of your day. Have a great weekend.